Great. So you can send reactions to this meet if you'd like to send them. So just a reaction, if you can see my screen clearly, you can give a thumbs up. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Great. So again, a warm welcome to everyone. Really excited to have you here. We're going to be going through onboarding with paperless intakes with Carepatron. I'm going to be showing the agenda in just a moment, and just wanted to welcome you. Feel free to relax. As I said before, this meeting is being recorded. It is also being transcribed, so we'll be sending the recording after, along with any unanswered questions that have been left after the meeting. So if you do have questions, you are going to be able to post them throughout the meeting, as well as in the end if we do have a few minutes left. So just getting started here. So I'm Mel. A lot of you already know me. We've had demos together. You've probably seen me on the chat answering a few support questions. So really glad to see you over here as well. I'm going to be the hostess today, but along with me, I have Louis and Marco, who are going to be on the chat for any support. So you don't have access to opening your microphones. You do have access to open up your cameras if you'd like to do so, and you won't be able to chat along. But if at any point you're having any hearing me out, if you're having any issues seeing the recording or anything, you can use the reactions, or you can also contact us through the Q&A channel, which is at the bottom right where it says activities. So that's where you'll also be posting any questions that you have related to the topics I'll be covering, or if you have any other questions at all, you'll be able to ask any questions over there. Marco and Louis will be answering those questions throughout the webinar. And if they don't have the time to get to all of your questions, because sometimes there are a lot of questions, I'll try and answer those at the end of the webinar. And if we don't get to cover all of them, we'll be sending them via email after. So no worries with questions, we'll answer them all. Great. So that said, I'll be going along with the agenda for the day. So what we're going to be seeing today, we're going to be focusing on onboarding, but mostly on the perspective of sending client intakes and what your clients basically see. So a few things that we're going to be covering are the different ways of adding clients to Carepatron, how to browse existing templates, creating your own intakes if you do want to go ahead and create your own, setting intakes as defaults. So basically being able to set up a battery of intakes that you want to send whenever adding a new client, how your clients onboard, so what your clients see on their end when you're inviting them to the portal or sending them an intake. We're going to be covering that as well. We're also going to be covering how to find intakes in client records. So once they complete the intake, how you see those intakes and where you see them. And then we're going to be doing some bonus content on customizing client records. That can be a bit robust, so we're just going to touch that slightly, but you're going to get the feel of how to customize your client record, as well as a quick view of the client portal as well. So I know that you probably know some of these things and how to do them, but you might not know other of these, so it would be a good refresher over here. So I'll be sharing my Carepatron account. Please bear in mind that this is a test account, so you can see some content that it is for testing purposes, but don't worry. I'll try to skip anything that gets confusing at any point. So when you first start here at Carepatron, you're going to land on your calendar. This is the first view you're going to see. We do have a weekly webinar on setting up your account, adding your services and that, so I'm not going to be covering that. I'm just going to focus on how to add clients first. So to add new clients, you have a few ways to do this, right? So these are all the clients that I have right now. I can see the entirety of my clients like this. I can also adjust the columns that I want to show. And then I can add tags to them, as well as editing the statuses. Statuses are also editable, so you can manage that as well. And then you're going to see a few demo clients when you first join. You can freely delete them, or you can just use them for testing if you'd like. That's totally up to you. So ways of adding in a client. One of the ways is going to be importing. So if you are coming from a different platform, you can go to more actions and then imports, and you can select the platform that you're coming from. We do have a few useful help docs on this. I'm not going to go through the steps of importing from a platform because it's a process that does take time. So you can check out our help docs on how to import clients from a different platform. And if you don't see the platform that you're migrating from, or you're not really using a platform, but you have a different database of clients, you can definitely import it using a CSV file. If you do have any questions, any doubts, issues, we're always here to support you. You can send us the files even. We can import them for you. That's not going to be a problem. We have a lot of tutorials as well. So that's one of the ways that you can bring in your clients. And if you, as I've said, encounter any issues at all, you can always click help here at the left sidebar on Carepatron, and you can send us a message at any time. You are going to see our AI tool, Ava, when you first start in. But if you want to talk to one of us, you can always type in talk to a person, and we'll get there. We'll get to you as soon as we can. So that's way one, importing your clients if you have that importing file in a way. Second way is going to be adding in clients by one. So once you're all settled with Carepatron and you just want to start using it on a daily basis, and you just want to add your clients as they call in or they email you or whatever way it is they contact you and you want to add them in, you're just going to click new client here, and you're going to add some basic information. So I'll just do a test client, and the mandatory fields are going to be Jenny, first name and last name. But we always recommend filling out an email because that's where your clients are going to receive reminders or your intakes even. So we normally suggest filling out this as well. You can then assign it a team member if you are working on a team, but don't worry about that because it can be edited a time after. Once you create it, you're going to get to the second screen where you'll get a few options. You can complete the client record. So if you have any prior information from your client or additional information that we didn't capture on the previous screen, you can go ahead and complete that. I'll go there in a moment. The other option will be sending an intake. I'll show that later on today. You can also book an appointment for the client, create a note or upload a document, send them an email or a message. We're going to have internal messaging soon, but for now it's going to be sending an email. And you can also create an invoice. So for now, I'm going to step on complete client record. And this is what your client record looks like. Again, I'm not going to dwell a lot on the client record, but here you're going to have a bit more robust fields, if you will. So you have the name and surname that you added. And then you're also going to have provider details for yourself if you want to edit any of those, any contact details for your client as well about the client. And these are just custom sections that have been added, so you won't see those in your accounts. You can create custom sections, and I'll show that by the end of our meeting today. So that's going to be the second way of adding in a client. And as I've said, there's 3 ways. So one is importing, right? Second way is going to be creating a new client, as I've just done. And the third way is the client is going to be created automatically when they book in with you. So if you share your booking link with your clients, right now I'm going to be sharing my booking link for myself or my account, and then for all of my services, for example. And then I'll just paste that on a different tab to show you what they will see. So this is what a client sees when you're sharing your booking link. They can be either returning or new clients, and you can set up services for returning or new clients. We have a lot of guides on that as well. And then in this case, I will be selecting a service because I have shared all of my services. So I'll select a specific service, and then I will select a specific slot. And in this case, you're going to see my email here because I'm already logged in. But if a client wasn't logged in and this is the first time they are on this booking link, this would be blank by default, and they would have to fill it in, and then they would confirm the appointment, and it would drop straight on my clients. So I'll show you how that looks like. So right now, I don't have any clients that are named Alicia, for example. So I'll just do Alicia Joe, and then I'll confirm that appointment on Tuesday, January 21st, 10 a.m. And then I'll get a confirmation over there, which I won't because that email doesn't really exist. But you will see here after you refresh that Alicia's record has been created. So that's going to be the third way that you have of adding in a client, which is really you're not adding in the client is getting created automatically. But yeah, that's a third way. So first one was importing, second one is creating a new client, and third one is that's going to be dropping in automatically over there. Once it's added to your account, you have all of the tabs for that person, just as you had for the others. So you'll have the name, and then all of the other sections that we reviewed previously as well. So, and you'll also have the appointment that Alicia booked. I can't remember the date when she had booked. I think that was with me. Let's check what's happening with Alicia's appointment. So it should have been dropping here, and that's where you'll see it if they're booking in an appointment with you. So yeah, basically this client is created automatically when they're booking in an appointment with you, and then you'll be able to edit their client record just as you had with any others that you had created. So that's as far as creating clients with Carepatron. Next, we said we were going to look at how to browse existing intakes. So I'm going to go to that. Just wanted to remind you, you can definitely use the Q&A section on the activities button at the bottom right of your screen. So you're going to see a button that says activities, and you can post any questions there for Louis and Marco to respond, or for me to respond by the end of the webinar. Great. So how to browse existing intakes. So in templates here at the left, in your left sidebar, you're going to see some team templates, which basically mean your templates. And these are pre-populated by Carepatron. So when you told us your profession, when you were onboarding onto Carepatron, we selected a few curated templates for you. You can always delete them if you don't find them useful. And don't worry about losing them, because you'll always find them back in the community templates. So you can edit the team templates view as you please, and you can clean it out and leave only the templates that you're using, which is normally what I suggest doing. We are redesigning the templates page, so you're going to see a new look very soon, but just a heads up that if you're using this right now, you can go to your team templates to use those as well. And as far as browsing existing templates, again, if you don't find them here in your team templates, that's because we probably thought it wasn't pertinent to your practice, but you can always go to community and find them. So I'm going to go ahead and find, for example, a client intake form. So in the community, I can just search and then enter, and there's going to be a lot of forms here for me. You can always preview them and see if they have the content that you need to see. And then once you're satisfied with that intake, satisfied enough as to use it as a base, because you don't need to use it as it is. But if you are satisfied enough, you can copy it back to your team templates, and that will open up the editor. So the editor of this template is saying, okay, like you were satisfied enough, but what do you want to change? And right here, you can select any items or any sections, and you can change anything that's going to apply to the entirety of your practice. So anyone with access to templates, team templates, are going to be able to see this template in your team templates. And you can edit this. For example, let's say I want to say client details intake process. So I've just edited that template really simply just for the purpose of showing it. And then I'll save that and it'll get saved to my team templates. So now I go to my team templates, I see it there. And then if I do want to find it back, I can just search it out and it'll be right there. So here it is. And that's basically how you can find and edit an existing intake. If you do want to create your own template or intake, you can also do that by hitting here, new template. And you're going to be able to do a complete customization. So let's say I'm doing client intake first time walk-in, for example. And I want to create a template from scratch. I'm going to go here and I can create a lot of content, for example, client information. And then I'll just say your personal info. And then I'll go ahead and select any fields that I think are relevant for my practice, such as the first name. I can also add the middle name, last name, whatever's relevant to you, you can add here. You can also add custom fields, but I'll show that right by the end of the webinar. And we also have a really useful tutorial on how to create your own templates. But again, I'm going to stress that we do have a lot of templates in the community that you can browse around, find the ones that suits you the best, and then just edit it out so that you don't have to create from scratch. If you are on the advanced plans, we also have template support, so you can let us know if you need to import any templates for you, and we can recreate them in the Carepatron format for you as well. So just let us know, and we'll be there to assist you. Just a friendly reminder that you do have the Q&A question and answers channel there on the activities on the Google Meet. If you do want to ask any questions, Louis and Marco are going to be there to assist you at any point. So yeah. Moving on to the next section is setting an intake as default. So as I've said before, you might have a battery of intakes that, or even just consent forms or any type of forms, assessments, anything that you want to share with your client as soon as you add them. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and add that new client intake as my default. It is super simple. It's just sometimes not very discoverable. So you just need to find that template and set it as intake default. I'll zoom it in for those that can't see. So this is the symbol that means set as intake default. You basically click on that. It'll tell you that you've successfully set it as a default. And if you ever want to remove it, you can always click on that same icon to remove it. Now, what does setting it as intake default mean? What it means is basically when I'm creating a new client like I did before, I really like Jennifer Lopez. I use her a lot as a test customer. I hope she's not getting any emails from me. So you create a new client, you're going to click send intake, and all of the intakes that you have set as default will come up here. So right now I only have this one as default, so it's the only one showing up. But if I did have any others, for example, if I want a telehealth consent, it will pop up here by default if I had selected it as default. Let's say I rarely use an intake, or I just use it with a couple of clients, then I won't set it as an intake default, but I can always find it here as well. So if I charge for a specific service, for example, I can add in a credit card authorization. And then this is the email they'll be getting, saying, welcome to, here's the name of your practice. And you can edit this out right here. So if you want that email to say something different, you can change the body of the email here. And just a spoiler here, we are working on a way to be able to customize the templates here of the emails that get sent out. So that's definitely on our roadmap before you ask, and already in the works. Don't have an estimated date, but I know that it's getting done. So just for your peace of mind, and you can edit it out manually for now over here. So once you click send, they'll receive an email, just like an email. I'll open that up for you, but they will receive an email saying, the name of your practice has invited you to complete this specific intakes. Please fill out the intakes form, and the email will look something like this one. So it'll say, welcome to name of your practice, complete intake, and they will click complete intake, and it'll bring them to the onboarding flow, which I'll show in a moment. Or they can always click on that link as well. So right now, I'm not going to click on that button, because what happens here is when you click on this button and you're logged into your Carepatron account as a practitioner, it'll return an error for you. So it might return an error when you're logged in as a practitioner. So if you're just trying to test an intake that you've sent out to a client, what we normally suggest is just copy that, and you can paste it onto an incognito window, so which is the one I'm showing right now. And this is what the window that they will see. Right now, I have this logo added onto my account. If you have your logo or your name as your logo, they'll see that. And here they will see the name of your practice, basically. And what does it say here? It says it has invited you to join their Carepatron platform. What that means basically is whenever you are sending an intake to a client, you are inviting them to the client portal automatically. You can definitely avoid that. I'll show how to do that in a moment, but you can always share access to the portal. In the portal, they will see any upcoming appointments. They can add their payment methods, change their language and their time zone to see the appointments in their time zone as well. They can also see any notes that you have shared with them, any intakes that you've shared as a note, any documents you've uploaded. So I definitely recommend giving them access to the portal, but you can also choose to skip that if you don't want to. But if you are sending it as an intake, it will automatically invite them to the portal. So they will click complete intake. Right now, because I'm opening an intake where I've sent it to a client with these details already filled out, I will see with the details already filled out for me. So basically what this means is if you send a client to Jenny, an intake to Jenny Doe, for example, and it is in your client records saved as Jenny Doe will see the intake process like this. So they will see their name filled out, their last name filled out, their email filled out. And if you do have a number for them, they'll see that as well. So I'll complete it for now so that you see all of the steps following and how your clients would see the intake process, basically the onboarding process. Great. So they would fill out this first page. They'll then hit next. If they do have any documents to share with you, they can drag it and drop it here, or they can just attach any files. And then under here in forms and agreements, they will see all of the intakes that you've shared out with them. So in this case, I have shared these 3 with my test client. I just click on one so that you see how it looks like. So they'll see it like this. They'll be automatically set as responders. They can fill out with their name, sign that, and then just add a date. And then once all the mandatory details are captured, which are the ones that have a little star on there, they can submit the intake. So that has been submitted. I'll fill out a second one, but I won't complete the mandatory fields. So I'll try to submit that. I think that one didn't actually have any mandatory fields. This one does. So yeah, when trying to submit that, it won't let me. So you'll see that if you do have any mandatory fields in your templates, they won't be able to submit until those fields are filled. Now, if I do complete this, I'll just complete here with our email. This information, although it's not submitted, it might reflect on the intake because it is saved sometimes as a draft. So it is in progress, and they will see that it is in progress, but they won't be able to submit it until that's completed. And I won't be able to click next there because I haven't completed the intake process or all of the intake forms that I needed to fill out. So that's as far as like the intakes in the process. You're going to see here that I have a payment method, 4th step. So if you have linked your Stripe account, this will be added by default. And you'll be collecting credit card details from your clients upon intake process. If you don't have Stripe connected, this won't show. So they won't add their credit card details basically. And we're working on a way to being able to select whether you want to show that or not, as well as how your clients see the entirety of the onboarding process. But this is what they'll see right now as things are. Sorry. Great. Now, let's say you want to invite a client to a customer portal. So I've added, for example, Jenny. And I didn't send any intakes because I didn't have any intakes that I wanted to send at that point. Or I've added Jenny a long time ago and I didn't give her portal access because I didn't want to, and now I do want to. So basically, the way to invite them to the portal is by clicking on this icon here, or you can also do that from their client record, more actions, and then inviting them to the portal. As I've said, if you've already set them an intake, it will automatically invite them to the portal, so you don't need to do this twice. But if you do want to just invite to the portal, you can send that, and they will get an email like this one saying, welcome to Carepatron, or welcome to name of your practice, and then your logo here as well. So that's as far as like the portal and the intake and how your clients do see the intake. Going back to the client portal, if you haven't seen that, you'll see here that you have a switch to my portal button there. Right here, what you get is your portal as a client. So if you're a practitioner and you're also a client and your practitioner is in Carepatron and provides you telehealth or whatever service through Carepatron, this is going to be your client portal. And this is really similar to what your clients see. So don't mind this new navigation. Sorry, that's because it is a test account, but they will see the blue band here at the top, and they will see in the dashboard any upcoming appointments as well as any past appointments, and they can see any services and their prices. They'll be able to book it again if you have it enabled for booking. Any intakes that you've shared as notes with them, and then any notes that you have shared with them, any documents that you've uploaded and share with them as well. And then any relationships that they have. So if you have a client who has a parent that you've added as a relationship, they can see that here, or that you have related to a partner or to really any type of relationships, they will be able to see that here. In the settings, they'll be able to edit any personal details, language and time zone, set up their multi-factor authentication, and then change their payment methods here as well. When they do add a new payment method, if you are asking your clients to add the payment methods here in the portal, please let them know to add you as an authorized provider there, because you'll need to be added so that you can see their actual payment methods. Otherwise, you won't be able to see those. So just going to go back to my practitioner account. Great, here I am. Great, so that's how your clients will see the onboarding. Now, where do you see all of the templates or intakes that they have filled out during the intake process? So let's say I have sent Bobby a few intakes to fill out. I'll find the responses for those intakes in the documentation. So if I have sent any intakes or assessments, like this intake, for example, I'll see all of the responses here. Now, what happens if some of these fields are also in the client record and I don't want to go all the way back here to find those details? Well, that's the good thing. They will populate automatically. So if you have in your intakes any of these fields, and when a client completes those fields will be automatically populated here into the client record. But in documentation, you can see it within the context of the intake itself. So you'll be able to see all of the information they've filled out. If they've signed, you'll see their signature as well. And then you'll see if it's on a draft status or if it is actually submitted. And you'll also see, so in here, you will see all of the documentation attached for that client. So if you do want to filter that out, you can use the type or you can use tagging as well. That is completely customizable. So if you do want to filter that out, you can, or you can just search here for a specific note, intake, template, document here as well. If you do want to add additional documentation that is not note related or intake related, you can do so by clicking more options, upload files. And if you are importing clients from a different platform and you're having notes from those clients, you'll find them here in documentation as well. Now, let's say I want to add a new client and not send an intake because I don't want to give them access to the portal. Then I can just do a sort of workaround or trick, which is creating a new note. And then instead of going through templates, I will apply the new intake form as a template here. So I'll go new intake form. Let's try and find it here. Yeah, there it is. And then I'll apply that as a template. And then I can share that with my client. And then here, they won't be invited to the portal. They will just be shared the new client intake form. Now, when doing this, you won't be able to send them as a batch. You'll be able to send it just as a note that they want to respond to. So just a heads up there if you're going to be adding that. If you decided you didn't want to share that now, but you do want to keep it for later, don't worry. It's going to be saved as a draft, and you can go ahead and delete it if you're not going to use it, or you can just keep it for later. Great, so we have seen how to add clients, how to set intake as defaults, how to browse intakes, how to create your own. That was a sneak peek. It wasn't an entirety of how to create your own template. We've also seen how your clients see the onboarding, where you find those intakes that they filled out. And next, we're going to see how to collect specific data, which I've already specified a bit about, but I'll dive a bit deeper on that. So basically in here, you can create new sections or new fields as you please. So I'm going to go to right here in the name section. I have first name, last name, middle name. And then in contact details, I have, for example, phone number, client address, email, secondary address. Let's say I want to add here another field in contact details that's called emergency contact email, for example. So you're going to see that if I want to add that specific field here, so I'll try to add another field and I will search in the contact details section or in the name section, name for emergency contact. So I don't see that here because it doesn't exist. So I'll go back to my client record. And I will create in the name section a new field called emergency contact name. You probably don't want to add an emergency contact name in the name section. I'm just using this as an example, so I suggest against that. But you can customize the client record as you please. So you can see that field right there. And then in the templates, if I do go back to that intake form, and I want to edit it out and leave it with that field, with a custom field that I've now created, I'll edit that intake form. And I will create another field or add another field. And now it does show up, emergency contact name. So what this will do is, as I've said before, when the client completes that field, it will automatically populate it into the client record. So that's how you can customize your client record and collect any information that you need that's relevant for your practice. And that's not the only thing. When you're exporting your client data for reporting, those custom fields will actually export as well. So if you do want to do any reporting on specific fields, we normally suggest adding them as custom fields and then exporting the entirety of your client base, and then do the reporting with a CSV, sort of like a Excel CSV file. Now, if you do want to delete those custom fields that you've created, you're going to do so in your workspace settings. So you do need to have workspace settings permissions if you're on a team. And then you can just edit those out. You can move them around. You can delete them as well. You won't be able to delete some of these fields because they are default for Carepatron for our database. So we can't really delete some of them, but you'll be able to delete the ones that you create. So for example, this one, I've deleted it now and it won't show in my client records again. So basically that's how you customize your client records. And that's all from me for today. I wanted to say thank you so much for your time. I hope your questions got answered. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. We do have 5 more minutes, so I'm just going to go through the questions here, see if we have any unanswered questions that I can answer right now, and then we can go ahead and wrap up for today. But any questions that were left unanswered, don't worry about that. We'll be covering on the email that we send tomorrow. So we'll be sending the recording for today's webinar along with a survey that we'd really appreciate you answering, because it helps us improve for future webinars. And we'll be sending the answers to any unanswered questions as well. So thank you so much for attending. And yeah, Marco or Louis, do we have any unanswered questions that we wanted to tackle for the next 4 minutes or so?
We do have ones coming from our friend Yusuf. Right over here, he actually let us know he wanted us to wait for these till the end of the webinar. The first one is, where are Carepatron on the e-prescription integration? And the second is, what is the current status of billing integration?
Great. Hey, Yusuf, great to see you again. Let me see if I can probably allow you to open your mic if you do want to pose those questions. So just opening up the mics. Yep. You can turn on your microphone if you want to ask that question, but basically those 2 items are on the works. I will say integrations is closer than e-prescribing, to be completely honest, but we don't have a specific roadmap for those at this moment. We're definitely going to let you know when that's released. Yeah, great. Leon, did you want to ask a question?
Hi, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect, good. I was just wondering, I think the billing section is brilliant, and the way you can see late payments and payments for that month and the totals. But I guess what I would love to see is more statistical analysis, and for Carepatron to, I guess, put those payments into graphs, or when you come to the end of the tax year and you have to submit taxes, it'd be handy if all of your income was done out more. So I feel like that section is great, but it could be really developed into something as well. And I think it would help practitioners come the end of the tax year just to download all those documents and submit them to an accountant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, reports is something we also want to work on. It is on our roadmap, definitely. It hasn't started development, if I am being 100% honest, but we are working towards it in the current development pipeline that we have. And it's going to be reporting not only for billing, but for other parts of the platform as well. For now, what you can do is download a CSV export of all of your billing in the billing and payment section, and then you can use that for reporting inside inside Google Sheets or inside Microsoft Excel or any other tools that you can use for reporting.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I think, Michelle, you had a doubt, and I think that will be our last one.
Yeah, I just had a quick question regarding the calendar. I know you had shown like the calendar with the clients on the schedule. Is there a way to sync the calendar to like our Google Calendar or?
Yeah, definitely. So in your calendar, you're going to see calendar settings at the top right. So I'll be sharing my screen. You're using my screen now, right?
Yes.
Great. So you'll see that little settings sort of icon. When you click there, you'll be able to connect with your Google Calendar or with your other calendars. And here you can also set up your settings for your calendar as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to help. So that will be all from questions for today and from the webinar. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but if you have posed questions now that I've seen a few coming through, we'll be sending the answers to those in our email tomorrow. So thank you so much for attending. It was my pleasure to host for you today. And yeah, I hope you enjoy Carepatron. Thank you.